Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get too far into the video, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that really helps to get my channel promoted, and I do appreciate that a lot. I also love it when people leave comments, so if you have a suggestion for a video, a question about this one, if you want to tell me how you do things, that's always nice to hear, or even just say hi. So I look at a lot of jewelry, online especially, because it's a good way to inspire ideas, and I occasionally see something that's really cool. And I saw something the other day. It's made out of sheet, and it's a ring, and it kind of hooks around itself after going around the finger. And I'm going to try and do something similar to it. So I take no credit for this overall design, but this is my take on it. So let's give that a try. I picked out three 6mm yellow tourmaline cabs, and I think they'll be pretty. I pre-made a couple of the bezels, so you don't have to watch me make all three, and I think it'll be a fun one, so I look forward to trying this one. Whether it turns out or not, we'll see, but I think it should be a fun project to try, so we'll give it a shot and see how it turns out. Before we do that, though, I wanted to thank some groups of people. First off, my patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters. They are a marvelous, talented, brilliant group of people, and I do really appreciate their support. They've created this lovely environment over there, and I get to meet a whole bunch of new, fun people all the time, so it's great. I do have a new one, and her name is Carla. Thank you, Carla, for signing up. I really appreciate your support. I hope that you find all of those people to be as nice as I have. I think you will. Thanks to all my patrons. I really appreciate it. The other group is my YouTube subscribers, and we just passed 21,400 subscribers, which is amazing. Thank you so much for that. It really feels good as someone who puts these videos out that someone's getting some good from them. So I really appreciate people telling me how I've helped them, so thanks for those comments. I do also appreciate the super thanks and the buy me a coffees. Those really help with my overhead, so thanks for that too. All right, well, let's get started on this project. So this is one of my design idea sketchbooks that you can get on my merch store. The more recent ones, I've started putting some useful charts and things on the back. So look at the descriptions of the individual sketchbooks and you'll see what kind of extra information they have on the back. This one has a wire gauge to inches to millimeter conversion chart, which I use a lot. The feature that I really like about them, though, is this grid pattern in the background that you probably can barely see on camera. It's unobtrusive, but it helps me to keep things symmetrical, because drawing is absolutely not my first talent. Oh, I did this one upside down again. I do that. I flip the page over like this, and sometimes I do my sketch upside down. So this one's going to be it's going to be one of those days, I think. Okay, let's see. So here's what I had in mind today. The one I saw had these two sheet ends of the band that goes around the finger overlapped like this, and had some, I think it was maybe teardrops or marquees or something, and different shaped cutouts in the sheet here on the ends. And I thought, I like circular stuff, so I'm going to use some circular cabs. There's going to be one here, here, and here, kind of sticking out from the piece of sheet that I'm going to cut in this shape. And then we'll cut some holes in here. Some of these I might be able to just drill. I think this one I'm going to have to probably use the saw to cut out, but we'll drill a starter hole there anyway. But these other ones, well, I might have to cut these two out as well. And this one, we'll see. I think while I was getting ready to film today, I was thinking I probably need to have a little kind of circle right here too, for these to have space to interlock with each other. So I'll probably cut a little hole there. It's really hot out today, so my mouth is all dry because I got dehydrated a little bit. It's a nice change from having all the rain we've had lately. Okay, so this is going to be 18 gauge sheet. That's 1 millimeter. I'm going to use 3/16 inch fine silver bezel strip, which is 4.76 millimeters tall, in 26 gauge, which I believe is 0.41 millimeters. I'll use a piece of 18 gauge wire to make a little step for the stone to sit on so that we can get some light through it. I should show you the stones, I guess. stone grabber thingy bobber. I picked out these little yellow tourmaline cabs. If my wife was looking at them, she and I would argue about whether they were yellow or green. So, to me, that's yellow. To her, I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to see. We argue about what color tennis balls are. I think tennis balls are green, and she thinks they're yellow. So in the comments, you tell me whether I'm right or she's right. Okay, so that's where the little stones are going to be, and I think they're pretty. They're 6 millimeters, and they're just little cabs. Somebody always asks where I get my stones. I get most of my stones at gem shows down in Denver, Colorado, that come around. And last year in September, during the big one, I bought a little vial full of different colored little tourmaline cabs, and I really liked using them. They're very pretty and kind of earthy tones, I think. All right, so let's. I'll keep one of these out, and we'll make a bezel for that to start. All right, if I don't squirt it right onto the floor. If you're already a metalsmith, you know we spend an inordinate amount of time crawling around on the floor looking for stones that we've dropped or other small items. And there's almost always on everybody's floor a spot that you dread something going to because it's going to go into a crack or something and you'll never see it again. Used to call a crack in my garage floor the crack of doom after like Mount Doom and Mordor from Lord of the Rings. Okay, getting sidetracked. Scratch. I will likely file this far shorter or cut it far shorter. I keep tall bezel around mostly just because I can file it to whatever size I want it to be. That way I'm not constantly looking for a particular size of bezel. My organizational system being chuck everything to one side after I'm done with it. So if you haven't been to my channel before, I use hard silver sheet solder primarily. I use a dribble-on liquid flux that I dribble in with a dropper bottle. And my torch is a Smith Silversmith model. It's their acetylene air torch. It pulls in air through this little hole here and mixes it with the acetylene gas and creates a hotter flame than just like propane, but not quite as hot as oxyacetylene, where it's pumping oxygen directly into the flame. So I like it. It's a perfect kind of temperature for silversmithing, in my opinion. So let's set him over here, put this out of the way, so I don't inadvertently ignite my house. Don't forget, I need to know whether tennis balls are green or yellow. I can finally prove to my wife that she's wrong. I don't think this is going to be a super complicated project. It's going to involve a little bit of sawing, a little bit of soldering, and not much else. So if you've already made bezels in the past, you wouldn't have to do this sort of a bezel. You could do a closed back bezel on this. But either one would work. You could even put a faceted stone in these places, I think. And I'm presupposing here that it turns out nicely. I guess we'll find out. But I think it'll be a pretty simple project. Famous last words, right? Let's see if my sawing skills are up to par today. That's not my strongest suit. These are called bail making pliers, if you've never seen these before. I never saw these for, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years after I started doing this. I use those a lot. They're pretty handy tools, I think. All right. Let's smooth this out a little bit. I'm going to take a look and see if we got the size about right. I think we're pretty close there. It's within a workable distance anyway. So let's put a little, create a little lip on the inside of that. I'm going to use, it's not terribly hard to make an open back bezel with just a little lip around the inside to keep the stone in. So we're going to create the little step out of some 18 gauge round wire. I'm just going to make it into a circle so that it's just about fits right inside of there. I like to cut these a little bit long. I say this a lot, but I cut them a little bit long so that as I gradually snip out little pieces, I won't over snip and then have a gap in there. So no over snipping here. Actually, I still over snip occasionally. But it's not super hard to make a little jump ring, so you can use a jump ring mandrel, you could use your round nose pliers, you could use a bail making pliers, you could use a pair of chain nose like I usually do. One thing you want to make sure though is when we solder it in that this is going to sit flat at the bottom. Make sure you don't have any wobbles in your ring. What would people say if they knew that you had wobbles in your ring? You'd be the talk of the town. Okay, so the easiest way to solder this sort of thing in is just, we'll set a couple of pieces of solder on a flattish spot. Not that I have too many of those left on this particular soldering pad. And I'm going to flux this, set it right on top of there, and then heat the outside like I would just any other bezel. And it should draw it right up in there. So. So I'm just going to file this flap, in theory, anyway. Okay, so let's deal with our band here. I took the initiative for time's sake. I had originally cut this out to see how it would fit together out of a piece of scrap paper, and I used this kind of to draw it on here, which is the reverse of normal. So, and then I went ahead and I super glued this onto a piece of 18 gauge sheet. So I'm going to cut a rectangle out here like that, and then we'll do some. I can probably do most of this with shears. I may do the inside corners here with the saw, so I don't cut into the little part there. The little part there, the little corner. I'm going to use my big tin snips here for this part. I always cut things out in squares or rectangles for my sheet because I feel like it uses my sheet more efficiently. Because when I trim off the excess here, it's going to be a nice long usable piece rather than some weird little triangle or something. Okay, I'm going to head over to the sawing area and I'm going to cut it down here, here, and then I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to drill some little holes, and then we can saw out those circles. So let's go do some sawing. Well, you've arrived at my messy sawing area. So let's get this started. Come right there. Get this one started too at the same time. Well, I guess I might as well do this one first then. Okay, I'm going to drill some holes, and I might clean this up with the file so it's not quite so dangerous. And then I'll come back and we'll cut some of those holes out. Okay, I drilled out the ones I could. We'll be using a ball burr or something to clean that one up for sure. Okay, I got that mostly round looking. So I need to think about which side looks nicer. And if I was to make a guess, I would say that this one looks nicer. So this one needs to be the outside. So, alright, so my thought was put this over here to keep it level, because I'm gonna put some black marker on here, and then I'm gonna scribe a line where I want the cutout to be, because we're gonna have to go back and cut out 3 little spots here, 1 over here, 2 over here, and I hope that when I do this the configuration is going to look nice. I don't know. I couldn't really test it very well, so we'll have to see. It's kind of fun when you know something you're not 100% sure it's going to turn out or not. So I think I need to make sure that these don't move much. So I'm going to get some tape and just tape them down. That should help. Let me find a T-pin that's not all mangled. I'm going to do this left-handed. I don't know if that's going to work very well or not. Will it be a cool one or will it be a weird one? That's always the fun part. So I'm going to cut these out with the saw, but kind of on the inside of the line because I was scratching on the outside of the bezel. And then we'll use a burr or something to get it neatened up to where it's nice and smooth up against those. So let's go saw these out. Alright, I got out the little piece of this ceramic soldering pad because it's got a nice flat surface. So I do something called pick soldering, where I pick up a bit of solder on the end of a soldering pick, which is made out of either titanium or tungsten. I think I'm using a titanium one right now. And it allows you to place the solder right where you want it to go. It's kind of a handy skill to have if you're interested in that. Put a link up here for you. I have a pretty good video about that. I'll just put those there. Get this fluxed and then I'll show you how it works, but there is a more detailed video like I said. You see I wrote an F on it for front, so I didn't get them mixed up. There's a B on the other side. Now most of the mass is in this big piece here. I'm going to kind of avoid the bezels till the very end. Because they don't have very much mass and it doesn't take them long to get up the cabochon. I got a little too much solder over here, so I'll have to clean it up a bit. But it happens, you know, so it looks like we got decent solder joints though. So I'm gonna let that pickle and maybe fix my wife something to eat, and then I will come back and polish that, and I'll set at least one of the stones in front of you. We'll see how it looks. So I think it'll be pretty cool. We'll see, I guess. Okay, I got this mostly polished up. I was going to see if we could bend this around and see how it looks. Well, that's kind of fun. I wanted to do that part first before I set the stones, and I'm not going to make you watch me set all three of them, so I'm going to set one of them in front of you. So let me get the first two set, and then I'll come back and set the last one. So be right back. Alright, so I got two of them set. I might need to do a little cleaning up on top of the bezel with a rotary tool, but I'm pretty satisfied with those two. I do this differently than some. I use the flat side of my chain nose pliers as a bezel pusher. Last thing I do is use the rounded outer part to burnish with. And that's just rubbing that top edge. Trying to kind of smooth it out. Everything neat. And like I said, I'll clean those up with a Dremel a little bit. So I want them to be slightly offset like that. I really kind of like that. It's different. It's eye-catching for sure. Pretty artsy. All right. Tell me what you think. I think I'm pleased with it. Like I said, I might do a little final shaping and playing with the tops of the bezels, but then I'll get some nice pictures. So, all right. Well, I think that one's a success in my opinion. Okay, well that was the 3-stone sheet overlap tourmaline ring, I guess we can call it. I'm not sure what we'll call it on the thumbnail, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. And I'd love it if you take a moment and check out my main channel page. I have lots of content over there. I've been doing this for 3.5 years now, and I have almost 500 videos. So there's almost certainly something else you'll find interesting or useful over there, so check a few of those out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And don't forget to check out the video description down below. There's some important links. If you want to get one of my new ebooks, I have one that is kind of a guidebook for all of the video tutorials I did last year. It includes a page for each one with extra information, pictures, suggestions, things I learned from doing the project, materials list, difficulty rating, all that kind of stuff. There's one from 2023 as well if you're interested. I'd love it if you'd buy one of those. That's a great way to have a whole bunch of projects at your fingertips and a nice way to support my channel. So thanks for that if you do. A couple of other links that are there. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about that community and see what we have to offer over there. There's a link also to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea books. I find those invaluable anymore. It helps me to keep a nice record of what I've made and how I did it. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching. Take care. Happy silversmithing.